What's up everyone, this is Kenny here from Property Stories. Last month, 28th of June to be exact, our Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has announced the stimulus package called Pemulih for the Rakyat. And of interest is of course the 6 months loan moratorium or loan moratorium program. Well, today I'm going to do some FAQs where I got from the moratorium program, and you can see the description down below. I've split it by chapters. Feel free to jump to the chapter that interests you, okay? First is, what is moratorium? A moratorium is a temporary suspension of an activity or law to a further date that is yet to be determined until the event that triggers the moratorium is resolved and settled, okay? A moratorium can be imposed by the government, the regulator, or business. And in this case, usually moratoriums are for things like this, a financial crisis. That's why the banks are giving moratorium. So next, what is the package they're going to offer? What are the options for us as borrowers? Number one is the 6 months deferment of your loan. You don't have to pay a single cent for next 6 months, okay? At the moment your moratorium is effective. Second is a 50% reduction in your installment. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not all. Some banks have given a third option. A third option that is different from bank to bank. Some banks only 2, some banks 3. A few that I found out is very interesting is like, for example, RHB here, you can see the image. They give you a customized reduction of your installment but extend your financing tenure or loan tenure. That's the third option. Or even Affin Bank here. They even ask you how long you want to extend, 12 months, 24 months, or even if you need longer, you have to talk to us, okay? Or UOB here, that is offering only interest payable loans for the next 6 months. So check with your banks. You might have 3 options instead of 2. Who is eligible for this moratorium? From Bank Negara website, you can see that there are 3 criteria. Number 1, individual, whether you are T20, M40, P40, all of you are eligible. Second is the SMEs and micro enterprises, you are eligible. SMEs must follow the guideline, and also SMEs must qualify based on the bank's guideline, okay? So what this means that T20, M40, B40 means everybody eligible, okay? You need to opt in and then you're eligible. There will be no documents required for this application. However, having said that, I found a few banks that will require documents, like for example, M-Bank will require post-document for post-validation purposes. Documents for post-validation purposes, sorry. As you can see in this image. And if they found that discrepancy, they may rescind the offer, okay? May rescind means may take back the offer lah. And then the next one that you can find is Maybank here. They will ask you to sign a self-declaration form. And a few other banks actually requires you, and also if you have other borrowers, co-borrowers, to sign a declaration form that you are actually applying for a moratorium program. Furthermore, to be eligible, your loan must be approved before 1st of July 2021, and you must not have any outstanding amount in arrears of more than 90 days prior to application. Next question you ask, those in AKPK can apply or not? Those who are bankrupt can apply or not? This you have to check with your banks. Some banks I found that AKPK can, okay? Then some banks they say bankrupt, you have to ask your OA, which is an official assignee, to whether you can apply for this loan moratorium. So check with your banks. When is it effective? If I apply this month. Differs from bank to bank. Banks most of them have a cut-off date. For example, if you apply before 20th of the month, it will take effect the same month that you apply. And if you apply after that, it will take effect after that. You have to check your banks. And most banks, right, if let's just say you already paid your installment for this month, but you want to start your moratorium this month, they will refund you on a later date, and you have to email them or contact them and say that you want a refund. Then they will refund you. Will your installment increase? That is also depends on term and condition. Installment will increase if the tenure remains the same. Installment will decrease if the tenure is lengthened. However, there are also banks that will maintain your tenure but increase the interest portion that you are payable to the loan to reduce the accrued interest that is on the loan. And remember, loan, right, mortgage, you have 2 parts, right? Amortization table, you have 2 parts, principal and interest. So more will be towards your interest payment so that to maintain the tenure of the loan. Next up is what will happen to my insurance coverage, whether it's a MRTT or MRTA, takaful, okay? What will happen? The answer here is that your coverage, right, follows the first time you sign. Your coverage follows the first time you sign the offer letter. Example, your MRTA policy in force on 1st of January 2020, which is last year, and you took a 30-year loan. So maturity of the policy and the loan is on 1st of January 2050, for example. Now, let's just say you take the moratorium and the bank extends 6 months. Your loan will mature on 1st of July 2050. However, your policy, you are no longer covered. Beyond 1st of January 2050, you are no longer covered. So what you can do in this situation, if you want to extend your coverage, talk to your bank. You will need to buy an extra policy to cover the extra 6 months. Okay? But good news to you, your insurance is still in force in the event that misfortune such as TPD, total permanent disability, or death happens. Next question comes is, what if I were to sell my house? How the interest will be calculated? It will be the same as how it is previously calculated, daily rest basis. Okay? If you sell or refinance, you'll be calculated on daily rest basis. For example, you sell on day 90, which is the 3rd month of the moratorium, halfway. So your interest will be calculated from the first day of the moratorium right up to the day 90 where you sell the house. It will reflect in your redemption statement, okay? Kenny, I don't want to apply the moratorium now. I think I still can repay my loan. So can I opt in later? Yes, you can. There's no urgency for you to opt in the moratorium to take the moratorium, okay? You can opt in next month or you can opt in 2 months later. Refer back to your bank. I've seen FAQs that answer as long as the lockdown is effective, you can apply. What this means is, let's just say the government already announced, okay, I'm going to finish the lockdown, which a lot of us hope is very soon. Then you're not eligible to opt in for the moratorium. So you be careful this, you can opt in anytime, but subject to your bank's approval. Check with your bank first. Kenny, I want to apply housing loan at this moment. Will it affect my credit rating? Will it affect my credit assessments? First question, there's 2 questions here. Credit rating, credit assessment. They're 2 different things. Number 1, credit rating is not affected. Okay? Your secrets will not be tagged as a reschedule. Your stocks will not be tagged. So don't worry about that. However, credit assessment. Credit assessment here refers to when the banker actually, the approver, get your application and then start assessing whether you are eligible for the loan. It will inevitably affect. It's not advisable. If let's just say you want to buy a house in the next 6 months, I would not advise you to take the moratorium. Why? Because banks, some banks already start asking for self-declaration form upon approval, upon loan application. Like for example, Standard Chartered here, they're asking you whether you have taken a loan moratorium, and even Alliance Bank here, they're asking you how have you taken and how many have you taken. But Kenny, isn't the bank supposed to be impartial on this? You are right. The bank is impartial. However, you must remember the one that is looking and assessing your application is
only human.
So being human, you have an emotion that is coming through, and definitely when you see the application form, this person has already applied for moratorium. It doesn't matter what's the justification. The first thing that you come to mind is, oh, this person might be in financial trouble. They won't think this person taking the money go invest. No. The bank will not think that way, okay? The credit approval will never think that way. Their job is to be as conservative and find out the worst case scenario as possible. So they may reject your application. Remember, they don't have to give you a reason. They just reject. Or cut your margin or do something else with your application. So that's my advice to you. If you want to buy a house within these 6 months, please do not opt in for the moratorium. Or if you want to buy now, okay? Buy now the house. And after you bought, then you opt in for moratorium. It's okay. Now I'm going to show you what it means by accrued interest and also compound interest. And I'm going to show you some simple calculation to illustrate the point. So let's start by going to the definitions first, okay? First, we have what is called the accrued interest. This is what the Finance Minister Tengku Zafrul actually mentioned. The interest still be accrued but not compounded. So what it means by accrued interest and how is it different from simple interest? Okay, this is a page where I screenshot directly from Investopedia. So this is how it means, how they define accrued interest. Just read the first two lines. Accrued interest refers to the amount of interest that has been incurred as of a specific date. This is the key here, as of a specific date. What this means is that it's compounded daily, okay, just like your housing loan and your ASB, and based on the reducing balance. So how do you calculate? I'll give you first example here. Let's just say you have a housing loan of 500,000 at 3% per annum for 35 years. So how much accrued interest for the month of June 2021? So June has 30 days, assuming here that you do not add any money in all that 30 days, okay? No money added. So how much interest for that month? You take 500,000 times 30 over 365. Why 365? Because 1 year has 365 days times 3%. And you will get that month accrued interest for the month of June is 1,232 ringgit and 88 cents. Next up, we move to compound interest. What's the definition of compound interest? Again, Investopedia screenshot. Compound interest is calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous period. Means principal plus interest combined and then calculate. Easy to say, interest on interest law, okay? The interest that is calculated from last month is also added on the new interest. The interest is also calculated on the interest on interest, okay? So this is where the difference. In your moratorium, you only have the first part, which is accrued interest. But that interest for the 1,200 just now you saw will not be charged another interest, okay? That's what it means. This is how you calculate. Example, you take a housing loan of 500,000 at 3% per annum for 35 years. Again, follow the previous example. How much total compound interest for the month of July 2021? July 2021, previous is June. From the example above, the accrued interest in June is 1,232 and 88 cents. So remember, 1,202 and 88 cents, you need to add to the principal amount, which is 500,000. So total is 501,233 ringgit. Okay. Same again, calculation. Remember, July has 31 days. So it's 31 over 365 times 3%. And you will get the interest for the month of July is 1,277 ringgit and 11 cents. This is again assuming there's no money that's added in the whole month. Okay. So total, the new total, there is 502,510 ringgit. That is the total. I'll show you next calculation of the moratorium. What you are seeing here is the calculation of the accrued interest. This is the calculation of accrued interest. Again, remember, accrued interest is not the same as compound interest. I'm using a principal of 500,000. You notice the whole 6 months, right? I did not add to the principal. This is accrued interest. So every month the interest is the same. Okay. So total at the end of 6 months, you are supposed to pay an accrued interest of 7,400 ringgit, roughly accumulated accrued interest. Okay. Assuming again the interest is at 3% per annum. Next up is compound interest. See this? The principal is different, right? See the interest? Same again. You start with 500,000, but you end up with 506,000. That is compound interest. So how much interest you are actually paying? Total interest, I compound the interest here, is 7,443. It's not much difference, right, between these two. Because I didn't count also the part where you have to amortize the principal, because you're not paying any principal, you're not paying anything actually for the whole 6 months. I'm assuming you're taking the first option where you defer your payment for 6 months. This is the side-by-side comparison. You can see again, this is accrued interest and compound interest. So accrued interest, compound interest minus accrued interest. how much only? It's 45 ringgit. And 45 ringgit, even if the loan is, let's just say, is a million, then you may want to do a calculation. But to be 45 ringgit, and you can take how much is it here? 7,400 in interest only, haven't count your principal, to invest in something else or put it as emergency fund. I think it's a no-brainer offer to take. That is how I personally feel. Okay, I hope that clears the explanation, the difference between accrued interest and compound interest, and what it means by the bank will still charge you accrued interest, but the interest will not be compounded. Now we are going to look at the effect of the moratorium on your rental income, especially on the taxes part. Now we are going to take a look on the impact of the moratorium on your rental income. Why is it important? Because you will decide whether you pay more tax or no tax or less tax. Okay, so you have to calculate this properly first. This is my screen. I'm showing you without moratorium, a calculation without moratorium. Let's just say the normal times where your rental come in at 2,500. So you can minus off the interest, right? Service charge, sinking fund, whatever that is deductible, you will minus off street rent, assessment fees. Okay, so I'm assuming here is rental is 2,500 a month. The property must rent out for a whole year. So every month you will see a fluctuation here. You can see figures. Okay, allowable expenses, gross rental and annual income gross is 30,000. Then you will have to minus off the interest, service charge, and all the allowable expenses, repairs, but I didn't include it. So here we are assuming the rental is 2,500 a month, and the condition the property is let out for the whole year. There's no break in between. So gross rental income is 2,500 times 12, 30,000 a year, minus off the interest, which is 23,000, service charge, and all the allowable expenses. Of course, you can add repairs, you can add other miscellaneous, but I'm going to keep it simple to here, okay? So what's the net income from your total rental, which is only 1,600? You will be taxed on the 1,600 and not 30,000. So don't be afraid to declare your rental income to the income tax. It will definitely help you in your future if you choose to apply for a loan. Property let out again the whole year, 2,500 rent. But see, from July onwards, there is rental, but there's no mortgage payment. Interest, okay? There's no mortgage interest payment. So you are actually paying only 8,000 that year. And you have a service charge and all the other miscellaneous fees all remain the same. Look at how much net income. This is 16,000. No, it's so far different from the 1,600. 16,000, close to 17. So this 16,000, right, you have to pay tax on. And it's usually, most cases, right, for most of us, it's enough to bring us to the higher bracket. Imagine you're already at 24% or 20%, then you elevate to 24, elevate to 26%. So you need to decide, right, this extra tax that you're going to pay, is it worth it? Can you generate more income on this tax that is payable? So that's it for me for today. With regards to the moratorium, I hope it helps. If you find that it helps, please do share this video with your friends and family. Okay, and if you would like to reach me, if you have any questions with regards to property and financing, my email is below. I've added my email in the description. So until then, I'll see you again next video. This is Kenny here from Property Stories. Bye bye.